What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Crunch Time. Jeff, Booner, Lucas, we're here, and we were live yesterday. Thank you to everyone who tuned in for that. The Detroit Lions traded up. So happy they kept that first-round pick. They traded up to 24 from 29, traded up 5 spots, gave up 73, and they acquired a future next year, 7th-round pick. And they drafted Terrion Arnold, who we all agree was a top corner in this draft. Lucas, it was his number 1 corner. For me, it was my number 2, but in being Booner, but it wasn't that big of a difference to me. I'm happy. I think they got a lot of people CB1 at 24. They didn't even have to trade up into the teens, and they still got Terrion Arnold. And corner was something we talked about potentially addressing, trading up to address it. And boys, they traded up 5 spots and landed potentially the best corner in the draft. It's an impressive day by Brad Holmes. And the second round hasn't even started.
Yeah, I mean, going into the draft, a lot of people were like, well, do you think this is going to be the 3rd year that Brad Holmes drafts 12th overall and he takes another Alabama Crimson Tide player in Terrion Arnold? Well, double that, and they're sitting at 24. And in my opinion, just giving up 73, I know that looks valuable now because a lot of Lions fans want him to go out and get a wide receiver, defensive end, offensive lineman there. But if you're giving up pick 73 in a division with Justin Jefferson, Keenan Allen, keep going down all the lists, and you get a cornerback like Terrion Arnold, 24th overall, I don't care what the actual trade looks like as far as what you're giving up. That is a steal, and the Detroit Lions fans should be ecstatic, jumping up and down right now.
Yeah, and two, just fellas, this is a guy like Terrion Arnold. It was a dude that was not supposed to fall out of the top 15.
No.
If you go look back at most mock drafts, and I know they're mock drafts and no one knows what's going to happen, but whether it's our mock drafts or it's national media's mock drafts or whatever it is, no one had a guy like Terrion Arnold maybe falling out top 15. Maybe you could say, oh, top 17, that this was a guy that everyone wanted. Like you said, Jeff, most people had him as CB1 in this draft, not just CB1, but you named off air a couple of the rankings, overall rankings, and he was ranked in the top 10 just by of all players in this draft by some people. So the fact you sat there, and Brad broke it down too. He said, hey, we at about 17, 18, we started making calls to trade up for him, and he fell all the way to 24, and we knew we had to make that move, and they did it. The fact they got him at 24, this is a dude, guys, like an absolute dude, and getting a steal for it. So I'm ready to see. You just added a big time piece. And to Lucas's point, this whole situation with Bama guys, and I know Nick Saban's gone from there now, but you're learning under a guy like Nick Saban, has so many successful players in this league right now. So many. And you took Jahmyr Gibbs last year. You took Brian Branch last year from Bama. You took Jameson Williams from Bama. Now you're taking Terrion Arnold from Bama. By the looks of it, Bama guys work out in the NFL and in this league and in the Detroit Lions. So I'm pumped to have another Bama. That is what gets me excited too. We know mentally and everything, he's just an absolute dog, and he wants to come in and work because he's coming from Alabama through Nick Saban. So I love this, guys. I'm ready to go.
And I will say too, I mean, the secondary last year, and you saw how late in the season it was rough. It was. And with the whole Cam Sutton situation, they traded their other 3rd-round pick for Carlton Davis, and now they have Terrion Arnold. They signed Amik Robertson. They re-signed Emmanuel Mosley. This secondary, it's clear that Brad understands that as well. It's revamped, and I think Terrion Arnold, year 1, could be your second best corner, depending on how well he plays. Because corner's a different position for some guys to adjust to. Not everyone could be Sauce Gardner and come in and be your number 1 corner their rookie year. But at the very least, he should be your second best corner year 1. And he provides a lot of versatility. I mean, if you look at what Terrion Arnold did at Alabama, playing alongside Kool-Aid, playing under Nick Saban, he lined up in the slot, played corner, lined up in the box, played deep safety. I mean, he's doing it all. He's super versatile. And I think AG is looking at Terrion Arnold and thinking, oh, yeah, this guy, especially in the NFC North, you saw the Bears take Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams. And even before that, they got Keenan Allen. The Packers have Christian Watson, Jaden Reed. Who's the other receiver for the Green Bay Packers they got? Who's pretty good?
Melton?
Max Melton. No, the better one. They got another guy.
Melton. They got Romeo Dobbs. They have
Romeo Dobbs. And then you have the Vikings, Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. a lot of wide receiver talent in the NFC North, in
the
Brad
NFC in
pivoting
general too,
and taking Terrion Arnold, and in the NFC,
the
absolutely.
Eagles,
49ers took Ricky Pearsall, and you look at now the Lions being like, okay, well, we need to combat this by getting a Terrion Arnold. This is you could argue one of the best value picks in the entire first round, easily.
Yeah, going off of what you said, Terrion Arnold's not going to be a guy the Detroit Lions fans should expect to be a Sauce Gardner or a Patrick Surtain, just given their draft stock. Like, I think that shows within itself. Now, that doesn't mean that Terrion's not going to be a cornerback one. I think he will be. But as far as what he's going to bring year one, I think he's definitely going to have some growing pains. He's going to have to go up against Justin Jefferson, all the receivers we just talked about. He's going to have to go up against them twice a year. Any rookie cornerback is going to struggle with that. But I think Terrion's the cornerback in this draft that's going to have to struggle with it the least, just because playing at Alabama, now he's going to be playing with his former teammate, Brian Branch. And the fact that Nick Saban did turn him over from a safety to a cornerback shows you that he is not very good, because he probably would have stayed at safety, but he does know how to get into the run game, set the edge, and get physical with wide receivers. So him having that natural style of being a safety and still being able to cover guys on the outside, which the Lions need so heavily, the fact he's going to be able to go with Carlton Davis, whose play style is very similar. Terrion Arnold just landed in a great spot, and the Detroit Lions just got a great player. Year one, going to be cornerback two, but I think year two, he's going to be the cornerback one of this team.
Yeah, and I think too, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong with this. I just feel like there's no rush for him to have, like, he's going to go out there and play. I don't think there's like a rush to say, hey, we need you to go out there and just be CB1. It's like, no, we have Carlton Davis. They made that trade. The Cam Sutton situation it's tough the way that happened, but I think he's coming into a perfect situation in Detroit to where we're competing for a Super Bowl right away. He's going to want to come in and compete. But he's not going to – I don't think a guy like Terrion Arnold, he goes out there, he's CB2. He's not going to have like an insane amount of pressure on him. Just go out there and learn for the first half of the season and do that. One thing, too, I want to throw out there, when we were watching some film here today, guys, and what was the one negative thing? And we kept mocking Kool-Aid McKinstry, and this is just crazy to think at this point. We kept mocking Kool-Aid McKinstry at 29. We moved up 5 spots and got the better corner out of those two. In that DB room there in Bama. We went and got the dude. And the thing with Kool-Aid McKinstry was, what was the one, like, especially with our corners here with Detroit, is you have to be able to tackle. Terrion Arnold does not miss tackle. That dude is an absolute dog when it comes, like, did you guys, we were just watching some highlights of him and him making plays. That man does not miss tackle. If anything, he forces fumbles, he disrupts, he goes out there and he is everywhere. That's what I love about him compared to a guy like we thought we were going to get in Kool-Aid McKinstry. No shots at Kool-Aid McKinstry. Still love Kool-Aid McKinstry. Good dude. Good dude.
I think
there's a clear difference there.
Yeah, I think what you're saying too, and it's the big thing with Terrion is forcing turnovers. He can do that, yes. And that's something he did. I mean, he had multiple interceptions this year. I mean, even in coverage, not just, he's not a guy. There's some guys that do force turnovers, but it's like one of those gamble players where they're forcing turnovers, but they're giving up big plays. Terrion Arnold, when covering receivers, allowed a 51.9% completion percentage to opposing quarterbacks. So there's that as well. Like he can cover and he can play in any zone scheme, man-to-man scheme. I think he's just, and that's what the Lions want to do, force turnovers, and they got a guy who can do that.
Mm-hmm. I think what makes Terrion so great too is his ability to react, because he's really fundamental of staying in phase. But then you watch, he's going up against the Lad McConkeys. He went up against Texas and A.D. Mitchells. He went up against the LSU. So there are times where you're a corner, you're going to get beat. But it's now, how do you react to that? And he's constantly putting himself in position, just like we talk about with Amon-Ra as a receiver. He's putting himself in a position to make plays and or be able to make an impact on the play so his teammates can do that. So Terrion is, I mean, you heard him when he was talking to the fans when he was able to experience that he's a player that's going to be able to help this team win a Super Bowl. And with his talent, what he can do on the field, and I know I've already said it once, but it's so important to get a player like that when you have the receivers that they do in this division with up-and-coming quarterbacks, because now that's a guy that now Caleb Williams has to worry about. That's a guy that Jordan Love and J.J. McCarthy, they have to worry about, and he's only going to continue to get better. So I think that was a need that they were to fill in a way that they didn't expect to Brad's point earlier with what you were saying, Boone.
Can I just give you guys a quick breakdown of something real quick here? I was good for the confirmation. I was waiting for the confirmation there. I hate, and I don't know if you guys want, if we could keep doing it, but the Kool-Aid to Terrion thing, and I just want the people to know, like, the different level of player that Kool-Aid McKinstry is than Terrion Arnold is to Kool-Aid McKinstry. Terrion Arnold had 61 total tackles last year. Kool-Aid McKinstry had 32. He doubled it. Terrion Arnold had 38 solo tackles, and Kool-Aid had 32. Pass deflections, Kool-Aid had 7, Terrion had 11. 5 interceptions to 0. Multiple forced fumbles to 0. Like, the Lions we got the dude, not just like the dude out of Alabama. So like there's that step. There was the Kool-Aid and the Cooper DeJeans and those guys at 29 that the Lions kept getting mocked to, and everyone was having those conversations. And then there's Terrion Arnold, and it's a gap, and that's what Brad Holmes said too. There's a big gap between those two guys.
And I know when people say like secondary players leading your team in tackles, it's usually not a good thing because they're being picked down a little bit. But I don't think this is the case. I don't think they're picking on Terrion Arnold. No, because that's what people would say that are more for Kool-Aid. They'd say, well, the less tackles. Again, there was games where teams didn't really target him. But same with Terrion. So
he is a playmaker on the defensive end.
Yes, he is. And if you're a DB that plays under Nick Saban, usually the lineage there, pretty good. Pretty good lineage. And they're used to high expectations, Lucas, already. I mean, you're at Alabama. Every year they're expecting to make a run. And they weren't able to do that last year. But those Alabama DBs and just Alabama players in general, no wonder Brad Holmes loves them so much. It's hard not to.
Yeah, definitely. Can't go wrong.
Well, I will say, boys, this second round is going to be a very, very interesting. Tune in. We'll be live tonight, 7 p.m. Be there. We're going to break down the second round, react to all the draft picks. But until then, what a first round by Brad Holmes. We say this every single year. It's the most unsurprising thing. Continues to just have such great selections and trading up to go get those guys. But until next time, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you're alerted every time we post. Like and comment. What do you think of the draft pick? What do you think of Brad Holmes trading up? And what do you think the Lions are going to do today in the second round? Until next time, we'll catch you guys.